We're just 53 days away from the election, and following the first debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, new polling shows Harris has widened her lead. The new Reuters-Ipsos poll found the VP is up by 5 points, with Harris at 47% against Trump's 42%. The same polling from late last month showed Harris with a 45 to 41% lead. Both candidates were back on the campaign trail yesterday after a day off for 9/11 ceremonies. So here to talk about this week in politics, let's bring in our political panel, Leslie Sanchez and Joel Payne. Leslie is a CBS News political analyst and a Republican strategist, and Joel is a CBS News political contributor, Democratic strategist, also the chief communications officer for Move On. Welcome, welcome. I get you guys twice in 1 week. What a treat. Leslie, we're going to start with you. Former President Trump said after debating President Biden in June and then Harris this week, he's done with debating. Rally-goers debating. CBS News spoke to some rally-goers who said that Trump should focus more on, I guess, whatever the task at hand is. I want to play some sound.
If I could stand in front of Trump right now, I would just say concentrate on your wins. Forget about everything that she's doing. Just talk about what you do, what you do best, how you're going to get in front of people, what your platform is, because he'll win on that.
I mean, even some of his supporters, some of the people at his rallies thought he didn't do so well in the debate, despite what you're hearing from, some other pundits. What do you think? Do you think is it a good idea or a bad idea for him not to get back on the debate stage?
It's a good question, Anne-Marie, and it reminds me of Bill Clinton's adage, strong and wrong beats weak and right. And in many cases, the vice president looked very strong, though people would argue her policies were wrong, and it was a very weak performance for the former president. It did not help him in the standings, and more importantly, it didn't help independent voters or people that are on the fence because it didn't talk about the economy. It didn't talk about debt. So everyone was frustrated. I think the viewers were frustrated, the voters, the candidates, with the exception of the Harris campaign, who clocked that as a win. I think the realities are it's an incredibly tight race right now. Those battlegrounds are where they need to spend their money and their time. And the risk assessment of, is Trump going to actually prepare for a debate the way that he needed to, command a debate the way that he needed to, and put that time into it when the clock is really ticking?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a win for the campaign right now. And then they're going to say, partisan basis that, did and all these issues about the moderators kind of disrupting the debate. That's going to frustrate the campaigns as well. So that's part of the reason they came to that decision.
So, Joel, talking about spending time in these battleground states, VP Harris certainly riding the momentum, the wave of momentum since her debate. She is in the state of, she went to the state of North Carolina, and apparently there was quite a turnout there. We're talking about more than 17,000 people in Greensboro. I want to play some sound from that rally. I mean, I'm thinking back to the debate and her comments on Trump's rallies. That's a lot of people. I don't think they were bussed in. What do you make of the momentum? What is the best way for the vice president to use this momentum?
Yeah, I can promise you they weren't bussed in. My parents were two of the people who tried to go, and they couldn't get in because it was at capacity. So I know firsthand they had a lot of folks there in Charlotte and Greensboro and North Carolina. Look, there's a lot of momentum there. And I think, this even ties to the debate topic that we were just talking about. Something that Harris has done so well that I think Biden struggled with is competing with Trump in the attention economy. Donald Trump usually is able to own and to manage the media narrative because he is all-encompassing and all-dominant in all platforms. And I think Kamala Harris has really competed with him and gone toe-to-toe there by creating these giant rallies and these large-scale moments where people see the momentum. She's also done such a good job of not just saying it, but showing it, right? There's one thing to talk about joy, to call the other side weird. It's another thing to demonstrate it, to show it both with your behavior and also how you're using your resource to demonstrate what the other side is doing. Those are two really innate political skills that I think have frankly surprised maybe a lot of Democrats who did not know that Vice President Harris had this within her. And I think that she's going to need this in spades if she plans on winning this election this fall.
But joy and vibes, and obviously it's working for the VP. But we're still kind of short on, I think, a lot of details in terms of her policy. I think everyone can agree that we need more affordable housing. Every time I hear her say that, my follow-up question is, well, how? How is that going to happen? You tell me, Joel, because you would be advising a candidate. I mean, is it time to give us more details, to give us the how, or what she's doing is working? The fundraising is going swimmingly well. Maybe this isn't the time to give us a few more details about how she plans to pull off some of her promises.
Well, I think what a candidate in her position needs to do is everything. You need to do the excitement, the enthusiasm, the momentum. You also need to do the details. You also need to do the infrastructure building to make sure that in these states you can take advantage of the momentum. You have to do it all. And the good thing from a Democratic perspective is I do think she's doing that. She did that big interview a few weeks ago with a national outlet. She's done other interviews with niche African-American outlets since then. Obviously, she had the debate. She's doing these big rallies. She's releasing policy at her own pace. Let's remember, she has only been the presumptive nominee for less than 2 months and the official nominee for less than a month. I think she's at a very, very accelerated pace here for any nominee in modern history. So I actually think she's moving at the pace that you would expect her to move at. But it's working. Regardless of whatever myself or another pundit, great thinker like Leslie might think, it's working for her. She's +7 or 8. She's entered the race. That means whatever she's doing is working. So that is my advice to her. Keep doing what's working.
Right.
Just because you rise like a balloon doesn't mean it can't be popped. I mean, let's keep it in perspective and grounded. We're selecting a president and the leader of the free world, and we can't do just a copy and paste of the Biden position, which is what the Trump campaign released today as a new ad, saying it's the same 4 more years of the Biden economy. That's where, Anne-Marie, your point, there's not enough distinction for voters to say this is different from Bidenomics. And that's where I think people are going to decide in 50 days.
All right, Joel, Leslie, great talking to you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
Take care.